In the quiet suburbs of a small southern town, where old oaks whispered secrets of the past, a family bound not by blood but by choice prepared a surprise that would unearth buried truths. The two adopted black children, now young adults, had scrimped and saved every penny from part-time jobs, their hands calloused from labor that echoed the struggles of generations before them. Their white adoptive father, a man of quiet strength who had raised them single-handedly after his wife's passing, had always dreamed of restoring a classic car, a symbol of simpler times he often reminisced about during family dinners. Unbeknownst to him, the siblings had scoured junkyards and online listings until they found it, a rundown old 1960s sedan, its paint faded like forgotten memories, its frame rusted from years of neglect. They presented it to him on his birthday, wrapped in a tarp like a gift from the heavens, their eyes shining with anticipation. As he peeled back the covering, his face lit up with genuine surprise, but it was what lay hidden within the car's decrepit interior that would soon transform their world. Tucked away in a concealed compartment beneath the dashboard, obscured by decades of dust and decay, he discovered a weathered leather journal, its pages yellowed and brittle. Flipping through it absent-mindedly at first, his expression shifted from joy to confusion, then to a dawning horror as cryptic entries hinted at a dark underbelly of American history. Lynchings, forbidden alliances, and a racial divide that had scarred the nation. What began as a simple act of filial love was unraveling into a revelation that challenged everything he thought he knew about his own lineage, forcing the family to confront shadows they never imagined lurked in their midst. The air grew thick with unspoken questions. How could an old car hold the key to such profound pain? And what would it mean for their fragile bonds? The family had always been a beacon of quiet defiance in their community. Marcus, the adoptive father, was a middle-aged mechanic who had grown up in the same town, inheriting a modest garage from his parents. His life had been marked by loss. His wife, a compassionate social worker, had died young, leaving him to raise the two children they had adopted from a troubled foster system. Jamal and Aisha, siblings orphaned in their early years due to systemic neglect in underfunded urban areas, found in Marcus a steadfast protector. He taught them to wrench engines and value hard work, shielding them as best he could from the subtle racism that lingered in the town's whispers, the sidelong glances at school events, the occasional slurs muttered under breath at the grocery store. Yet Marcus himself carried an unspoken burden. Raised in a family that rarely discussed the past, he had vague memories of his grandfather's stern warnings about keeping to one's own kind, phrases he dismissed as relics of a bygone era. The idea for the car gift sprouted during one of their family rituals, evening drives where Marcus would point out vintage models, sharing stories of road trips from his youth. Jamal, now 22 and working as a delivery driver, and Aisha, 20 and studying community college, noticed how his eyes lit up at the sight of 1960s Chevrolets. They pooled their savings in secret, enduring long shifts and skipped meals to afford the $800 wreck from a rural auction. The car was a relic, tires flat, upholstery torn, engine seized, but to them it represented restoration, much like their own lives under Marcus's care. On the day of the reveal, the sun cast long shadows across the driveway as they led him blindfolded to the surprise. Removing the blindfold, Marcus's weathered face broke into a rare, full smile, his calloused hands tracing the hood with reverence. He spent the next days tinkering in the garage, the children joining him, their laughter filling the space as he shared mechanical tips. But curiosity gnawed at him. The car's history was a blank slate, its previous owner listed only as an estate sale from a neighboring county. As he pried open rusted panels, oddities emerged. A faded sticker from a long-defunct civil rights organization, scraps of newspaper clippings from the 1960s tucked in the glove box, yellowed headlines screaming of protests and violence. These fragments built a subtle intrigue, pulling Marcus deeper into the vehicle's past, unaware that each discovery was peeling back layers of a racial injustice intertwined with his own bloodline. The air in the garage grew heavier, the children's excitement mingling with an unspoken tension, as if the car itself was awakening from a long slumber to demand reckoning. As days turned to weeks, Marcus's restoration project became an obsession, the old car transforming from a heap of metal into a vessel of revelations that stirred deep emotional currents within the family. He began by gutting the interior, removing seats stained with age and history, only to uncover more anomalies, scratches on the frame that looked like desperate claw marks hidden under layers of paint. Intrigued, he delved into the journal he had found, its entries penned in faded ink by a man named Elijah Thompson, a black civil rights activist from the 1960s. Elijah's words painted vivid pictures of marches in Selma, the sting of fire hoses and the terror of night riders in white hoods. But as Marcus read on, the narrative grew personal. Elijah described fleeing a lynch mob in this very car, hiding in the trunk while allies drove him to safety, the vehicle's undercarriage scraping against dirt roads under cover of darkness. The tension escalated as Marcus cross-referenced dates and locations, his late-night research sessions illuminating the garage with the glow of his laptop. He learned that Elijah had been a sharecropper's son, rising to organize voter registrations in the Jim Crow South, only to face betrayal when local authorities, complicit in the era's systemic racism, targeted him. One entry detailed a brutal attack on Elijah's family home, where flames consumed everything but this car hidden in a barn. The emotional stakes heightened when Marcus stumbled upon a name in the journal, his own grandfather. Harlan, mentioned as a landowner who had evicted black families during desegregation efforts, profiting from their displacement. The realization hit like a thunderclap. Harlan's wealth, which had funded Marcus's upbringing, was built on exploitation, a legacy of racial injustice that had been whitewashed from family lore. Jamal and Aisha noticed the change in their father, his once steady hands trembling as he worked, his meals left untouched. They joined him more often, sensing the car's pull, but the discoveries bred unease. Aisha found old photos slipped between journal pages depicting Elijah with activists, their faces defiant amid police lines. Jamal uncovered a bullet hole in the door panel, patched over, a silent testament to violence escaped. The family's conversations, though wordless in retelling, shifted to heavier silences, the weight of inherited guilt pressing on Marcus. He began tracing the car's ownership history, uncovering records showing it had been seized as abandoned property after Elijah's disappearance, likely a cover for foul play. Each layer revealed amplified the injustice. Elijah's fight for equality had been silenced, his story buried like the car itself. The emotional tension coiled tighter, the siblings grappling with their own experiences of microaggressions in town, now mirrored in this historical echo. Marcus felt the stakes rise personally. Confronting this past meant dismantling the pedestal he had placed his family history upon, risking alienation but promising healing. The car, once a symbol of love, now embodied the nation's unhealed wounds, drawing the family into a vortex of curiosity and pain that demanded resolution. The intensity peaked on a stormy evening, the garage lit by flickering fluorescent lights as thunder rattled the windows. Marcus, driven by an unyielding need for truth, attacked the car's final hidden compartment, a sealed panel beneath the rear seat, its edges welded shut as if guarding a forbidden tomb. With a crowbar's leverage, he pried it open, the metal screeching in protest, releasing a cloud of dust that carried the faint scent of aged paper and despair. Inside lay the culmination of Elijah's legacy, a bundle of documents, letters, and a small, tarnished locket. As rain pounded the roof, Marcus unfolded the papers, his breath catching at the sight of a handwritten confession from his grandfather, Harlan. Dated 1968, it detailed Harlan's role in a conspiracy, a group of white landowners who had framed Elijah for theft to justify his arrest, leading to a midnight accident that left him presumed dead. The letter, intended as a deathbed atonement but never sent, confessed how Harlan had acquired the car as payment for silence, hiding it away in shame. The emotional storm broke as Marcus pieced together the horror. Elijah hadn't died in the reported crash. He had survived, maimed and in hiding, using aliases to continue his work until old age claimed him. The locket held a photo of Elijah's family, their faces mirroring the resilience Jamal and Aisha embodied. But the true gut punch came from a final entry in the journal, describing Elijah's forgiveness, a philosophical musing on breaking cycles of hate, written as if anticipating discovery by future generations. Marcus collapsed against the car, the weight of generational sin crashing over him like the downpour outside. Images flooded his mind, his grandfather's stern portrait in the family home, now tainted, his own adoption of Jamal and Aisha, once seen as redemption, now a mere bandage on deeper wounds. The climax surged with raw intensity, the injustice laid bare, not as abstract history, but as a direct thread binding his blood to Elijah's suffering. Racial divides that had seemed distant suddenly felt intimate, the car's interior a confessional booth exposing complicity in systemic oppression. In that moment, the family's unity teetered on the edge, the discovery threatening to fracture bonds or forge them anew in the fire of truth. In the aftermath, the family emerged transformed, the old car no longer a mere vehicle but a catalyst for profound change. Marcus, with Jamal and Aisha by his side, delved into archives and connected with historians, verifying Elijah's story and uncovering that his activism had quietly influenced local reforms, though erased from official records. They restored the car fully, not for personal use, but as a mobile memorial, donating it to a civil rights museum where it could educate others on hidden histories of resistance and betrayal. The process healed fractures. Marcus openly acknowledged his family's past, using it to advocate in their community. Speaking at town halls about ongoing disparities, his voice steady with newfound purpose. Jamal and Aisha, empowered by the revelation, pursued studies in social justice, their adoptive bond deepened by shared resolve to dismantle lingering prejudices. The discovery changed everything, turning a simple gift into a bridge across racial chasms, reminding them that true family transcends biology and demands accountability. In confronting this racial injustice, inspired by the real struggles of countless unsung activists, they found not just pain, but hope, a testament to how buried truths, once unearthed, can ignite lasting change. What hidden secrets in your own history might rewrite your story, and are you brave enough to uncover them?